had a a big Pacific forum here at the University of Sydney about a week and a half ago, and we had a large contingent from the Pacific sitting on panels, and I remember talking to a woman, I think she was from Tonga, and because there have been a lot of programs in the Pacific on dealing with domestic violence, and they've, for the most part, have focused on the women's role and on educating women. But she just realized that, well, she didn't realize, she was just telling me that men also need to be part of the solution. And she said, so now they're developing programs for men. I mean, she said, it's great, you go home and you have a woman who's very well educated, knows everything about domestic violence, but then her partner comes home and he doesn't have any of that kind of language. So there is that focus, and Penny, you could probably speak more about those programs.
The male advocates is a really big part of what's going on in the Pacific at the moment, driven out of the Vanuatu Women's Centre and Fiji Women's Crisis Centre. So there's training of male advocates right across the Pacific, and this new program recognises the importance of men and boys in that as well. The White Ribbon campaign has been, and we even have our High Commissioners in the Pacific as White Ribbon, but it actually has some resonance. In PNG, it's Tough Men Don't Beat Women, that sort of campaign, and it's very mobile phone focused. So the mobile phone companies send those messages around the Tough Men Don't Beat Women on White Ribbon Day. So there's a real sense of momentum around male advocacy. That has its problems at times, so we can't always say that it's about getting the right men. Doing the right things. But I met a guy just after I was appointed. We flew right to the north of Vanuatu to a place called Torba. It's about 2.5 hours light plane ride from Vila. And then we landed on this small landing strip, and a guy had walked, he was a village chief from the other side of the island, and walked about 4 hours to come and tell me that he is a male advocate against violence in his community, in this incredibly remote community. And he came to tell me because it had been so life-changing for him and so hard. Even though he had status, he had found it really hard going, that he felt that actually doing those messages, saying to his friends, saying to other people, don't beat women, it was like he wanted to unload and share how difficult it had been and to get some acknowledgement of the role that he was playing. So there are men doing that. We've also been working really with the police across the Pacific, trying to get those sorts of sense into that. So it really needs to be, in terms of attitudinal change and support, there is not one solution. It needs to be multifaceted.